Hey everyone, it's Ivan, KeepAgile.com, picking up where we left off up here on the Strawberry Mountain adventure. I ended up waking up this morning, and by wake up, I mean, I finally was just like, all right, I guess I'll get up. I'm not sure how much I slept last night. I don't know, just couldn't really get comfortable, and I was also very conscious of not wanting to go off of my sleeping pad because it's freezing, and it would basically end up getting my sleeping bag wet. But whatever. I ended up, I feel pretty rested. Part of it is, it's like, man, awesome sunny day up here. Totally lucked out on that. Now, or backing up a step, I went to put on my boots this morning, definitely still wet. Like, as soon as I put them on, my socks are all totally soaked now. I was like, damn it. Note to self, always bring my Gore-Tex socks. That would totally alleviate. I still don't know how they got wet to begin with, but my Gore-Tex socks would definitely alleviate this. But something that will also help with it is probably some coffee. So right now, I'm gonna get this thing all set to light, and then fire this little stove up and make some coffee this morning. 'Cause I like coffee, especially out in the backcountry. Definitely like this stove. It is, albeit not on-demand hot water, but just twigs, stuff like that. Keep this thing fed, keep it going. I just poured some black powder, Black Rifle Coffee Company instant coffee, in this sweet mug from Wiseman Company. Thank you, Noah and Ben. Still have enough hot water here for a little bit of oatmeal, and yeah. Day's off to a good start. This admittedly will not dry my boots out, but there's a lot worse places I could be right now. Like work, I am at work. But no, I love being out in the backcountry, man. Like, it's cool. It's just quiet. Birds flying around, chirping. And hot cup of coffee. Pretty good deal. Finished my cup of coffee, also had some oatmeal, feeling pretty good right now. And right up there, it's the summit, Strawberry Mountain. So I'm gonna go ahead and head up there and take a look around. Spoiler, it's kind of windy up here at the top and cold, but right over here is the actual summit. Get there in a second, but then right over here, this is basically the remains of the, well, what's left over from the watchtower from when there was a fire tower up here. Here I am, tippity top of Strawberry Mountain. Last time I was actually up here in this spot, it was with my buddy Matt from Jerking the Trigger, and he showed me this place. We hiked up here. It was kind of like late summer, really warm, no snow. And since then, yeah, man, I've just got skunked trying to come up here solo. And one thing after another. That first time the first time I came up here solo after that. It's kind of late fall. I was like, man, I need to get up there before it starts snowing. Got all the way up here. I just got my camera back from repair and I'd forgotten the foot basically. So I came all the way up here, didn't realize it until I was here, couldn't do any filming. Like my tripod was worthless, so was my camera. It's like, damn it. And not to mention they had reset all my settings and I didn't know what the hell was going on with the camera. Then the next time was my Strawberry Mountain misadventure, getting all the way up or to a little lower spot down there. Tons of snow, being soaked, no way of getting a fire going or anything like that. And I was like, done, went down, vehicle went off the road, that whole fiasco. And then the third time, a solo attempt, got to the bottom, couldn't even make it up to the trailhead because of snow, ended up going camping somewhere else down there. So whatever, it is what it is. But finally made it up here. Amazing spot. I will probably come up here in the middle of winter when all this is snow. Probably not a solo trip though. Amazing adventure just coming up here. I love getting out here and yeah, this is a pretty cool spot. Right here we're facing east over towards Montana. And as we come across, start getting facing southeast and finally south. Down there we have Lake Pend Oreille and Sandpoint. And then headed around to the west, facing towards Washington. And then finally coming all the way back, facing north out towards Canada. I've been up here for a couple hours now. And the sun was out in earnest a while ago, which was nice because I want to give my feet a break. Took my wet boots off, took my wet socks off, and yeah, hung out barefoot for a while. Then, since I did not want to put them on, went ahead and filmed barefoot up here for a while too. Got a couple of videos knocked out that I needed to do, some reviews. And at this point, what time is it? It's about 11:15. And yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna head back down to camp. I may end up maybe filming something else while I'm down there, or maybe just make some lunch, cook up some ramen with a little side of sardines for protein. And yeah, probably head down before too long. We'll see. Overall, been having fun up here though, and yeah, time to head back down. Decided to fire up my stove one more time because I could use a little more water for the hike down, and why not have some awesome hot lunch consisting of some top ramen and some sardines. On a side note, I was super excited. Got a brand new water bottle from Surefire, thank you. Got up here, tried to pull it out by the little ring on top, snapped off. I was like, what? But silver lining, now when you take the top off, you don't have it like flopping around. I guess potentially you could lose it. But of course, every new water bottle needs some stickers. Surefire, Arbor Arms, Edgar Sherman design. This one, it says tested in Idaho. It is the sticker from Uberleben. Probably still mispronouncing that. Violent Little Machine Shop and Uncana. Cool water bottle. Just finished a nice leisurely lunch of some top ramen and sardines. It's actually really good. But right now it's probably about, I think it's around 1, somewhere in there. I think I'm gonna go ahead and break camp, get packed up, change into my dry socks. They'll feel nice for about 20 seconds. and then hike on down. So that's where we're at. The dry socks lasted maybe 20 seconds and they're wet, but whatever. All loaded up, everything packed up. I'm gonna go ahead and head down. Probably not gonna film a bunch on the way down because it's super time consuming. I just wanna get down, so I'm gonna step off. And here I am, having come full circle. I will say I made it down in record time. It took me probably just over 2.5 hours to make it back to my vehicle. Mind you, it took about 5 hours to get up there. So what happened on the way down? Well, I was coming down more or less trying to follow my tracks. Keep in mind, I somehow got off, well, somehow. There's a bunch of snow up there. I ended up getting off trail on the way up, found it again. Coming down, got off trail, and I'm like, well, it's probably down here. Keep going down, keep cutting down, and then eventually I'm like, no, it's not down here. I'm pretty sure I'm on the north side and I should be over on the west side. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, you know what? I just might find it. Eventually, I stop, take stock, admit to myself, I absolutely will not find it. I've come way too far, and I wouldn't say I'm lost because basically you go down and eventually you hit the creek. So there you are. But I definitely wasn't ever going to find that trail again. So at that point, I was like, all right, yes, I could go back uphill and go find it and backtrack. No, I was not going to. So I was like, I'm committed. Let's do this thing. Making my way down through these kind of snow fields, bunch of willows, which was fortunate because for the most part I could get through it on the snow, even though I was still post-holing down there. Mind you, if it was any other time of year, it'd probably be just this huge thicket of growth. Right now, there's not really anything growing. So pushed down through all these willows and snow, finally got down to essentially like this primordial forest. Felt like land of the lost. At one point, there's this massive tree well on its way into decomposition, and out of it are 3 or 4 probably like 3-foot high trees, like growing straight out of this huge long decomposing tree. Really cool. And I continued to go down. It was amazing. All these little streams from the snow melt cutting their way down, making their way down, down, down. And I kept following. I kept heading down. Eventually I came across I saw all kinds of really cool stuff. I'm like, oh man, I should take out my camera. I'm like, no. I'm like, well, I should take out my phone and take some pictures. And I'm like, I have like 30% battery. Granted, I have external charger, but it's packed away. It doesn't have much juice left. I'm like, I'm gonna need that. But finally I said, I need to take my phone out. There's this amazing tree, and the bark was literally like spiraling, peeling off. It's dead tree, dead standing. And this bark was like spiraled, peeling off of it, like huge slabs of it basically, all the way up the trunk. It was incredible, really, really cool. And kept continuing down, finally got down to the creek, and I'm like, all right, sweet, I made it. And then I would look over, and across the way, I see these two little cabins. Mind you, like way out in the sticks, North Idaho, here I am with this guy, and I'm like, you know what, like, I don't want to get shot, someone think I'm trespassing or anything like that. I'm gonna go ahead and stay on this side of the creek and make my way down. So I do that. And eventually I get to a point where I'm like, I should probably cross sooner than later. That looks like a pretty decent spot. Turned out to be a little bit treacherous. I had to climb around like the root mass at the end where this thing had fallen. Once I got around that, it wasn't too bad, but my pack tried to kill me, like getting caught on stuff. But either way, managed to make it across onto the other side. At which point, I was like, cool, it's probably really close now. I made it down the mountain, I think down to the creek from the top in about an hour and a half. So I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I'm flying, let's do this thing. So I start walking along the creek, and eventually I see this, looks like a bridge up ahead, and I'm like, probably private property, and I would probably be better served just going up. Here's a culvert right here. I'm gonna head up, try and find a road. Sure enough, come up, find a road. As I'm walking along, I see these no trespassing signs, like kind of facing the creek. And so I'm like, okay, is this someone's like private driveway I'm on right now? And I'm like, damn it. So I'm walking along, cabins are behind me at this point. I'm walking along, start to make a turn, creek's over here, like I can see it. And as I'm making this turn, I see this like homestead up through the trees. I'm like, oh, I do not want to get murdered by some backcountry person up in North Idaho who thinks I'm trespassing. So I'm like, damn, all right. If this is a private drive, then the road must be up. So I bust through some like really dense sticks and stuff like that. I'm pushing through. I look, and I'm like, there's a sign I'm looking for, a tire, because tires don't roll uphill. So I'm like, all right. So I get up a little bit higher, come out on this little road, and it looks even less improved than the other one. And it looks like it's heading right down to that homestead. I'm like, oh man, dang it. So at this point, I had turned my phone back off because I was done taking pictures and I was trying to save my battery. So I just start cutting straight up, and I get up to this kind of clearing. Once I'm up there, turn my phone on, try and check Google Maps. Google Maps doesn't want to tell me where I am. I'm like, man. And I start looking around, and I'm like, I am way too high. That creek is way too far away. So at this point, I need to go back down. My water tastes like smoke, but I end up cruising back down, back to that road. I'm walking along, and I'm like, oh man, like I'm over it. Like technically, any waterway you can just walk up in Idaho. Like you're not trespassing. Granted, I don't really want to walk through the water, but at this point I'm like, I just need to get out of here. So I'm coming down the road, I see this house over there, I'm like, damn it. And I end up stepping over this little fence and then back onto this road. So as it turns out, the road, that first road I was on, is the actual road that basically loops up and around that I parked off of. And it goes by, I believe, the front of this dude's house. And then when I went up to that other little logging road or whatever access road, that was actually on this guy's property. So I'm like, oh man, whatever. Like, let's get out of here. Start walking on the road, walking. Finally brings us to now, back here at the trailhead, back at my car. At this point, you're probably asking yourself, damn, Ivan, how do you get in all these crazy predicaments? And, you know, it's adventures. I'll set out on things that I know honestly will probably challenge me on some level. Do I do this stuff when I have my boys or other people? No, I don't. But I'm going up here. I mean, I've hiked up in the middle of winter, feet and feet of snow, got to the top and like, this is a bad idea, came back down. If I forgot everything, whatever, I would hike back down. If I broke my leg, I would probably very painfully set up my tent, climb in my sleeping bag and hang out until my buddy Matt, who I said, hey, I'll let you know, like here's the time hack. Eventually that time hack would go by, my buddy Matt would send someone out or come out himself, whatever. Everything's calculated. And it's like, yeah, man, you're always getting stuck, all these mishaps. Maybe. I'm also going all kinds of crazy places and having fun doing it. So if you look at the spectrum of how often I go places and I do all these things, lots of which I don't film because it's labor intensive. It's a lot of work, but it's fun. It's an adventure. And ultimately, this wraps up this Strawberry Mountain adventure, which has been an amazing time. And as always, thanks for joining us at kitbadger.com. Look forward to seeing you next time. If only I had a stir stick. This looks like a pretty not dirty stick.